What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're here with you again finally for another video, and we got a bit of a surprise on this one. We got a new car that you haven't seen before, and we're also going to revisit the rotor matching system from ProCut that Moto Solutions was kind enough to bring up for us to demo. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is a 1990 Mazda MX-5 Miata. I picked it up for the girlfriend last summer around Canada Day. Probably won't see it a whole lot on the channel. It's not going to be one of the primary focuses, but I need to get this car done so that it's on the road and we can drive it. And to do that, we have to go through and do all the brakes. Luckily, a lot of stuff was replaced on this not too long ago, and then it kind of just sat. So the rotors are pretty much new. They just need to be touched up, which is where the ProCut rotor matching system comes in. Does a nice job for that. And I'm just going to go through and service all the calipers and make sure everything's free. The parking brake I know needs a bit of work as well. Other than that, the only other thing we might do on the channel, at least for the foreseeable future for this car, is timing belt, because I know that we have no idea when it was done last. So it's safer to just go ahead and do it. Avoid any potential problems. So yeah, I'm going to get, I'll probably just do one end at a time here. Jack up one end, put it on stands, go through the brakes on the front. We'll clean up the rotors with the ProCut rotor matching machine over there. We'll walk through that as well. And then we'll do the same on the back and see if we can get this car done here. All right, so we're just going to buzz through getting the front end in the air here. And we'll get the wheels off and dig into the brakes themselves. Nothing special. It's a 4-bolt, 21mm lug nuts. So I'm just going to quickly lapse through, getting it up in the air, get the wheels off, and then we'll take a look at the brakes. All right, so easy peasy. And see if I can do this here. As you can see here, the rotors on this thing are in very good shape. Like I said, I think they were replaced not very long before it was, I guess, well, they were probably getting it ready for the road, and then it just never really saw the road. So pretty much all the way around, the rotors look pretty good. Can't really see with the carrier and caliper on right now, but I believe the pads are in basically like new condition as well. So that bodes well for us. And hopefully it will be as easy as doing a resurfacing, because I mean, the rotors look pretty decent as it is. I also see we have quite the oil leak coming from somewhere in the rear main vicinity, which I kind of figured before that I needed a rear main. The clutch is a little chattery when it's hot, so we'll address that later. But in the meantime, we're going to pull the caliper off here, take a look at the pads. We'll clean everything up and give this rotor a nice little machining as well. I'll do one side in depth, and then we'll time lapse through the other side, and same thing for the rear. So I'm going to turn this so I can see first of all. And it looks like the interesting. Looks like the slide bolts are just big hex bolts. One of them is smaller than the other. Don't know if that's proper or not, but we're going to find out. So the top one's a 17, and is the bottom one a 15? That's a different size altogether. 15. No, smaller than that. 14. Yeah, so the top is a 17 mil bolt and the bottom is a 14 mil bolt. Don't know why. Interesting. So yeah, the slide pin is on the outer end of the bolt and the threads are up near the head, whereas the Volkswagen's, the pin is out here and the threads are at the end. So interesting, but a good idea. So that's the lower one. And then the upper one here. There's the upper. They definitely don't look rusty. That one's a little bit dry looking. The other one still had some lube on it, so we'll just clean them up quick, put some grease on them, and that'll be nice and quick and easy. And so now the caliper, try this. I don't think there's any tricks to it. Nope. This car did have some brake drag the last time I drove it, but it hasn't really been driven much, so. Caliper looks pretty good, piston looks pretty clean. Can I get it to hook? Probably not. Put it in here. Pads are decent. The outer one is thicker than the inner one, so that to me says, woo, there it goes. Says the slide pins weren't moving maybe the way they should be, but interesting little anti-rattle clips that slide into little tiny holes in the back of the pads. Interesting. So pads are relatively free in the, oh, can you not even get those out without taking the carrier off? Please tell me not. Oh, dropping pads on the ground. Big bad. Looks like it's mostly okay, luckily. But yeah, so you can see here, hopefully if I get it in the frame, the inner one here on the right is probably 2/3 of the outer. So it is possible that the slide pins at one point were dragging, but set those aside for now. Overall, not in terrible condition. Looks like it isn't too big of a deal to pull the carrier off, and if you pull the carrier off, then it's a lot easier to do the machining of the rotor. That's the first thing, and we can also clean up the carrier more easily, so maybe we'll go ahead and pull that off as well. I think the carrier bolts are also 14s, both of them. Have to see. But it also looks like we're missing the rotor retainer bolt. Presumably it had one to begin with. There's a hole there for removing the rotor, but there's nothing to... Doesn't look like there's anything to hold the rotor in place, which is interesting. But I'll take the opportunity to clean up all the surfaces. Looks like somebody used copper anti-seize, so at least we're not dealing with a big rusty mess, which is nice. And even this is not too bad. And of course, not the first, but one of the few vehicles I've ever had to deal with that has studs instead of bolts. You can't clean the hub face nicely because the studs are in the way. So I'm just grab a hand wire brush here, I guess, and just do the best I can, because you can't use the grinder or anything on it because there's no space. So what I think we'll do, because we don't have any rotor hold down screws on this, is we'll have to bring the ProCut over here, and we'll get set up with an adapter, and we'll bolt that all together, and we can machine this rotor. Since this is a 4-bolt car, we're going to use the universal 4-bolt adapter here. I guess that's the 50-687 R12D, which has everything from 90.1 all the way up to 114.3 for 4-bolt patterns. It seems like it wants to be 4x98, but I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense. When in doubt, I can't do it right now because I'm using my phone to film, but in the first video we showed the ProCut app that you can download free from the App Store, and you put in your vehicle make, model, year, and it will tell you what adapter to use. Now, since I only have the one, pretty sure I only have the one 4-bolt adapter, that's going to be our only option, but there is, I believe I saw at least one more option on the app that you can use. So be sure to check that out. Like I said, it's free, and it'll save some legwork for you. I guess I got to do the outside of this rotor too. We'll do that quick. The cleaner you can make your hub to rotor and rotor to adapter surfaces, the better quality machining job you're going to get, of course. So it doesn't hurt to take the extra minute to clean everything up nice and well. Yeah, that's really unfortunate that there's not. Maybe somebody can tell us in the comments if there's something missing here or if that's just the way they are. But it's really nice when you can have the rotor stay put and you don't have to worry about it falling off. I guess it is 4x100. I didn't figure it would be. I mean, I guess it could be 98, but that would be odd, I would think. 4x100 seems to fit better. Again, if I were not by myself here today, we could probably look up on the app more quickly and easily, but you can definitely check out for yourself, look it up for me and confirm, and be sure to use it on your own cars. Whether you're doing machining or not, it can at least tell you, and there's other apps as well if you just want like wheel and tire information. And I need a 21 wrench to snug up these. Let's do a bit of a zoom out here for the moment. Bring this down. Throwing stuff around. So, as was mentioned in the last video, this is the ProCut PFM X9 Rotor Matching system. It's not just a brake lathe. It's not really a brake lathe at all. The difference between a brake lathe and this is usually a brake lathe, you're doing it on a bench and you make the rotor true to the machine, but you might put it back on the car then and it's not true and you end up with rotor shake or pulsing in your pedal. The beauty of this machine is you're bolted to the car. So this machine can actually account for lateral runout between the rotor, the hub, the hub face to 1/1000th of an inch, which is way better than anything you're going to get from a brake lathe. Obviously, this one cannot do brake drums, unfortunately, which is okay. A lot of stuff you would work on nowadays is brake disc anyways, so that works out well. But yeah, so the adapter's on there, and then let's see if it'll come down here low enough, or if we have to change that. Yeah, we're gonna have to change the strap, which is okay. I could also raise the car up, but it's just gonna be easier because I think most of the stuff we've done so far, it needs to be lower anyways. So I'll make the change on this. I'll show you how it works, but I won't film it. I'm by myself, like I said here. So basically you have to unbolt. There's 2 bolts there, one there and one further over, that bolt the actual machining head to the tower. So you have to take those 2 off, take the head off, and then the strut here, I'm throwing stuff around. The gas strut on the back here is bolted top and bottom. And as you can see in the collection tray there's another one which is a shorter version of what's on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that out, which should allow us to go much lower. And worst case, if we still have to raise the car a little bit, we'll do that. Okay, so there we go. The PFM X9 is now in what I will call mini mode with the short gas strut installed. And yeah, just once again, huge shout out and thank you to Alex and Owen from Moto Solutions in Sunderland, Ontario, right here. Tried to work with somebody relatively local to us this time. Well, for our first time, let's say. Obviously, we're from Ontario, we're Canadians. We would like to work with and support other fellow Ontarians as much as possible. So, once again, huge shout out and thank you to those guys. And it's been great having this machine up here so far. So now, I don't know if I don't know if we're going to be we're still not going to be low enough, which is okay. It just means I've got the car too low, which is all right. Can always raise it up. All right, so I've got pretty much everything changed around now. I've got the shelf off so that we can indeed go lower, and I've changed the position of the cutting arms there to the backward position to give us a little more clearance on the fender well, because this is such a small car. So the last thing I'm going to do before we start cutting is I'm going to turn the cutting tips to a new spot, because I remember when we were doing I think it was the Golf in between videos, it wasn't cutting too nicely on one side for sure. So all I'm going to do is pull the little Torx screw out here, and the tool is provided in the kit. And I'm going to try and make sure I pick what looks like a new one here. Looks like that one. And we'll give that a try, see if it'll cut nicer than it was for me the last time. We did do a lot of really heavy, rusty shale on the BMW in the first video, so I wouldn't be surprised if the cutting tip took a bit of a beating on that. And there was some on the Golf too, nothing too crazy, but again, I'm going to try and figure out which one hasn't been used here. It's the trick with these things. Put that back in and we'll give it a try, and if it's still not cutting how we'd like it to, then there are other cutting tips we can exchange on as well. That should be pretty decent. So, Should be able to get it in position here now without hitting the car, hopefully. We can get in the middle here. There's the lock pin. Try and hold everything as straight as you can. If you've got it all straight and plumb, the knob here should be really easy to spin into place. Give that a bit of a snug, doesn't have to be crazy. And then wind in cutting head here, about a third of the way, quarter to a third of the way from the outside of the rotor to the inside. And you're gonna pinch the two, make sure I'm getting this. We did go over this before, but just to be sure. I'm gonna pinch the two jaws together with one hand against the rotor. Actually, I'm gonna center up. So I loosened the cross slide here to make sure we could get centered on the rotor. So you wanna look in and make sure that the center of the cross slide is approximately the center of the rotor and snug that up. Get the handle out of the way. Then you're gonna squeeze the two jaws in against the rotor and spin both adjuster knobs in just until they become snug, as in they're making contact, like that. And then you're gonna back up each of them just a few, just so they're not touching. And then we're gonna go ahead and, what I should do is, I can rotate this a little bit now because we've got a little more working space. Make sure that it's not touching any of the adapters or anything. Get our shaving collection tray out in place there. Then I'm going to plug it in. Wait for it to be happy. Okay, it says ready. I don't know if that's visible. Not really. So down on the display there, it went through its little boot up cycle. Now it's saying ready. So I'm gonna actually zoom out here a little bit and let us see more. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it on with the switch here. That's actually pretty good, honestly, but what we're gonna do then is we're gonna push start till it beeps. It should go through its adjusting cycle. So right now it's figuring out how much run out there is between the hub on the car, the rotor face on the inside, the rotor face on the outside, the adapter to the machine, and it's gonna bring that down to within 1/1000th of an inch lateral runout, and then we'll be ready to try and start cutting. There we go. So 0.7, and it says ready to cut, and we've got the green light for optimum as well. So you're gonna start with the inside cutter, inside of the car. You're gonna slowly bring it in until it's making contact all the way around on the rotor. Just like that, and then you're gonna do the same thing with the outside, and then this one you can see when it starts to cut right there. And then what we're going to do is, my glasses, they're going to come all the way out first. Just kind of a moderate pace. If there is any heavy rust at the outer edge, you don't want to go screaming through it. We're going to do that, so we're clear on the outside. Now we're going to go the same pace all the way into the inside until it stops making noise. If at any point on the way in it stops making contact, then you should readjust your cutters in and out. You don't want to be taking off a lot on this pass, but just making contact all the way. Collector's settings as we can. And again, the same thing. Not sure what the extra movement there was. Same thing on the inside. You want to go not too quickly in case there's a ridge of shale. I think we've actually run out of travel, just shy of where we wanted to be, but that's going to be about all we can do. If I stop it for a second here, I think we're inside of where the just barely. I don't know, we might be able to get away with the jaws in the outer position. I'll run it back out here and we'll take another look. Because you don't want to not be able to get the whole pad surface, so I might have to readjust these again. Yeah, my concern is we're hitting the inner fender there. If I come up here a bit and have a little more playing room. Okay, I think we can probably make that work. So I should have looked a little closer beforehand, but it looks like we can make it work with the jaws in the outer position. So, I'll quickly show it this time. Like I said, I think we showed it in the first video, but it's pretty straightforward. So you take this forward hand crank off here, and you lift the tin shield and the washer off as well. And you take the two little plastic caps off the nuts. It's a 13mm bolt. Loosen these, but before you take them right off, make sure you remove the spring, which I'll do here in a second. So you want to remove this tension spring, watch your fingers, remove that, and then you can remove the nut, and there's two washers on each side on this one. Remove both of those guys, and then there's little plastic dust caps for the other hole that you're not using, so I just used an Allen key in this case to pop them out, put them in the other hole, put that guy back on there, same thing over here, in the front hole, that guy back on there, and then you're just reversing the disassembly procedure, two washers and a nut on each side. And two washers and a nut. And then you're going to snug them up, but you have to make sure that the arm can still pivot perfectly freely when you're done. So I usually go till it can't move, and then I just back it up until it's loose. You don't want to tighten them all the way down or it won't be able to pivot. Okay, and then don't forget to put your spring back on, which keeps the jaws tight against the adjuster, so you can actually move it. And I think I might have forgot this bar the last time, so this black bar needs to go in there. The little black caps can go back on the nuts. This tin cover with the washer, and then the little adjuster handle, just like that. And then yeah, so we should be able to reach all the way in. So now that we've changed it, we have to redo our adjustment on the claws. So go through the last bit. And we're clear the inside there. So then you're going to bring in the knob a little bit. So each line on the dial is 2.5 thousandths of an inch. So I'm going to just do probably 2 lines on each. Will be tons, and then we're going to just push the auto feed knob in. And we're going to wait a couple of 3 minutes. It's going to do a cutting pass on that, and we'll see what we got. Brand new. Oh, perfect timing. Shut off switch. Just barely let it get clear. Maybe I'll move it a little bit just so that it can make sure we're finished. So I think it's clear already. Stop the feed, shut it off. That looks perfect. So we're going to call that one good. The back is also good. So that's it for that rotor. Alright, so yeah, there we have it on the first of 4 rotors on the Miata here. Very, very pleased with how that came out. A little bit of fiddling around this time to get the setup correct, but when you're doing the first one, that's just what you have to deal with, especially on smaller cars with tighter wheel wells. But we got her all set up. That rotor looks fantastic. Both inside and outside are perfectly smooth as glass. So very happy with that. So that's it for the ProCut on this side. Next thing I'm going to go through quickly cleaning and servicing the caliper and the slide pins in the carrier. The pads, I think we'll put them back on for now. If they won't pass for safety, then we'll just put a new set of pads on. The rotors are freshly machined, so that's not a big deal. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to time lapse through doing the whole other side of the front, both machining and servicing. And then when we go to the back, I'll go through real time and do one side of the rear, machining and servicing. And then again, we'll time lapse the other side. All right, guys, we're back here finally. It's been a few days. The heat last week was just ridiculous. I couldn't get hardly anything done. Couldn't hardly think when we were working on stuff last. So it's a little cooler today. We got the shop closed up, keep the humidity out. So we're going to carry on here and get the rest of this front brake serviced and put back together. And then we'll buzz through the other side and then move on to the rear. So I'm going to turn this all the way to the right again, just to make it a little easier to get to the carrier mounting and whatnot. And we can take the adapter off here now from doing our machining. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to put one lug nut back on. And what I should do, I guess, first actually is put a little bit of anti-seize on the inside hub face, which I did not do before. that was fun. Okay. See if I can find my way through the dark here. I did bring a flashlight in here somewhere. Somewhere. There it is. Okay, well, that was fun. I guess that's what happens when you have too much running. All right, I'm gonna cut here, go get the power turned back on, and then we'll try her again. All right, I think we're back in business here now after a minor power hiccup. Okay, so where were we? Anti-seize that I was trying to do, and then I was in the dark. Okay, that's pretty good. Set that aside for now. Rotor back on without touching the nice machine surface, or putting anti-seize on the back of the machine surface, trying to put the rotor on. And of course you can't spin them because they're studs, but you just have to hope that you got it straight and flat. So I'm just going to put this nut on to hold the rotor in place while we do all of our caliper servicing and whatnot, so that the rotor stays in place. And then once the caliper is reinstalled and the pads are holding the rotor, then we can take the nut off and then of course put the wheel back on. So need a shop towel. There's metal shavings in the hole where the slide bolts mount, so we definitely need to make sure that's all cleaned out of there before we try to put anything back together. Alright, that should be pretty good. So, yeah, carrier servicing. I don't know if it really needs a whole lot. It does have little pad anti-rattle clips that I guess if we're going to do this properly, we should take those out and just clean the casting, clean the clips like we would normally do. See if I can find one white brush here. Doesn't work very well for little clips. Oh, that one's coming right out, so there you go. Oh, come on, let go. Interesting. Well, I guess we're gonna go right through it here. I should take this guy off so we don't. Oh, he's already got a hole in it, unfortunately. Take him off. We're going to use the power grinder. Try and clean this up quick. I guess we'll just put it back in there and we'll find out real quick if the pads are too tight. And then I guess if that's the case, we'll have to get a file or something and try and chisel some of that out. But we'll do that much for now and see, try the pads in there again and just see. Am I even going to be able to get this boot back on? There we go. Not that it's doing a whole lot with its holiness. Take these guys out as well. All right, so on the first one, I decided to just use one of my small super scrapers, or carbide scrapers, and I did the channel and wire brushed it and blew it with the air, and then put the clips back in there. They went in a little easier when I brushed the clips. So I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side that I had already attempted now. They're pretty loose, but I'll do the same thing. And then that should be a lot better shot of it working. So I think with that, the carrier should be ready to go back on. Oh, I guess we have to clean the slide pins. And I guess there aren't any threads in the... Oh, because I was mixing it up. So there's no threads in the knuckle for the carrier. They're in the carrier. It's the slide pins that have the threads right up at the top that thread into the caliper, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, so that's ready to go back on. And so we don't have to deal with the slide pin bolts for these. We just have to check out the bolts that hold the carrier on, which they look pretty good. All I'm going to do is give them a little wipe and put some fresh anti-seize on them. They still have some grease or something on them, which is good. Threads don't seem to be too happy on the carrier, but we'll see what they're like when I go to try and wind them in. Usually you should be able to put them or thread them all the way entirely in by hand, just with your fingers. If you can't, there's usually something wrong with the threads, but we'll see what happens here. I did blow it out, so I don't know why it's being cranky. Bottom one's a little better. I took away all my tools from last time because I had to do some other stuff in between. So I believe we had 14 millimeter for the carrier bolts, and the slide bolts were, I think, 17 and 14 as well. According to the Mazda manual, the carrier bolts are 36 to 51 foot-pounds. I have no idea why it's such a range. I think we'll just aim for 40 because that seems pretty reasonable to me. They weren't very tight when I took them out. As you saw, I did it with a 3/8 ratchet. So yeah, So we'll start at 20 and then we'll do 40. It doesn't say anything about them being one-time use bolts, which is more of a European thing, a Euro manufacturer thing for some reason. So there's 40. It's a small car. Everything is fairly lightweight, so the torque specs don't need to be as high. Okay, so that's the carrier reinstalled. We do still need to give the brake pads a quick sanding. I'll probably just do that quickly off camera. You guys saw that, or some of that, when we did the BMW brakes before. It's basically exactly the same thing. We have a nice machined rotor surface. We want to have a nice flat true pad to mate against that. It'll still take some mileage to wear the two so they mate, but it's a good starting point. So yeah, we have to do that. What we can do first though is clean up the slide bolts and just make sure that they are free and lubricated and good to go, so that as soon as we have the pads back on and the caliper serviced, we can put that all back together. I believe, if I remember correctly, oh yeah, just looking at it, the thicker one, bigger bolt goes in the top and the smaller one goes in the bottom. I'm just going to put some of our silicone brake slide grease on each of these and then just kind of work them in and out a little bit, make sure that there's not excess buildup inside the slide passage that we need to deal with before we go any further. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this liquid clean flow easy slide brake lubricant, which is just, I believe, a silicone based brake grease basically. Let's put it, I'm getting all kinds of oil. Put, well, I was gonna wire wheel this first. I guess I'm not gonna do this one. This one looked pretty good. They're still bare metal for the most part, but the upper one had okay, so we might have more work cut out for us yet, because that's pretty stiff. I don't know if it's the boot that's making it stiff or goop inside the slider. It doesn't look to be. Maybe if can I take the boot off? No, I can't. I think that one must go right the way through. And I'm no expert on these cars specifically, but to me that should move more freely than that. But if it does have rubber all the way through, which I think it does, our only option is to, like we do on the Volkswagens, pull the rubber right the way out and use a file or a drill bit inside the passage there, which we might have to do. Let's try the top one. I'm going to clean the pin a little bit first. Yeah, see, that's, oh, hello. Oh, that's just the boot. That to me is more how it should be. It's still a little grimy in there by the feel of things, so I'm going to put some more grease on it. But okay, so we definitely have to do something with the bottom, because I do not like how tight it is. That's where we get a lot of the brake drag and excessive brake wear from, because as we noticed earlier on, the I don't know why that sounds so steel on steel, but yeah, anyways, the inner pad was worn thinner than the outer pad by about a third, which would say to me that the sliders weren't moving the way they're supposed to. So that's why I want to go ahead and now I got too much grease in there. I got hydro locking going on. There we go. It's a little more happy, I think. That's better. Still a little bit grindy, but it's free at least is the primary objective here. It's free. And I will try and service these ones occasionally, just like I do the daily drivers, but because it's a summer only car, it won't get as diligent of servicing in that way probably. So what I'm going to do though is try and push that boot on the, that's definitely not what I want, on the lower pin there. We're going to try and push that boot all the way out, hopefully. Here we go. Never mind. So try to go from the back side, I guess, as opposed to the front side. So you can see there's some rust shale that's kind of accumulated on here. And that is why our pin is too tight. So I'm going to go grab probably just a drill bit, honestly, and the drill. And we'll clean that out and we'll clean the rust shale off of the boot, put it back together, and then that slide pin should be much more free. Alrighty, so I've got just a standard drill index here, and I'm just going to try and find one that's slightly bigger than, well, not slightly bigger, slightly smaller than what we figure the hole is supposed to be. And then run that in and out just to kind of clean out. That one's getting pretty close. That is a 13/32. I think if we go one bigger, we're going to be too big. I want to take out much metal. Yeah, so that's 27/64 is too big. So 13/32 is what we'll try. So then we'll just give the boot here a little cleanup. Normally I would use the like bench grinder or the angle grinder there, but you definitely don't want to take away too much of the, well, any ideally of the rubber. So just give it a little scrape with a screwdriver or whatever you got. So that's pretty decent on there. So we will put a little bit of anti-seize, and I'm going to try and do this strategically. So it's going to go, I figure, through in from the back. So I'm going to put it just behind the head that's going to lead through. If you put too much and or too far towards the back, then when you push it in, it's just going to pile up on the back side and you didn't really get it where you wanted it to be. So I'm going to do it kind of on the leading edge and a little bit around the head itself, so that hopefully it'll slide through not too badly. Getting it started is going to be the challenge. Okay, so we got it finally. I ended up just using this small screwdriver on the outside of the boot and running it along till I caught the little lip on this side and just kind of gently helping it and pushing it from the back. Finally got it in there. Now I guess we'll find out if that was all a waste of effort, if it's still too stiff. Slide pin, put a little bit more grease on it. And we'll see if we gained anything really. It's definitely better than it was. It's still way too stiff in my opinion, but as it should be pretty much like this one is, which is still very grindy for some reason, but should be able to float in and out like that pretty much. So I don't know what's happening with the bottom one, but man, is it ever tight. Still, even after I did that work with the drill bit. Yeah, so I guess really our only option is to try and take some more out of that. I'm going to play around with that a little more, and then I'll come back when I've got it to a place that I'm happy with it. Okay, so finally got it to a point that I'm happy with. I had to drill it out a lot bigger than I was thinking that you should have to, but it's finally free the way it should be. So I actually ended up having to go up to 7/16, which is kind of ridiculous. But the boot goes in with a lot less difficulty. And of course, then the slide pin can actually slide freely as they have to in order for your brakes to not have drag all the time. So happy with that now. A little more metal out than I was hoping for, but it's also coated in NEC, so that should keep it from rusting again. So yeah, anyways, we're happy with the 2 slide pins now. So I guess while we're here, we might as well do a quick service on the caliper. Just the normal. Push the piston out. We're gonna have enough. Oops, stop hitting the car. Yeah, push the piston out. Blow out inside the dust boot. Put a little bit of brake fluid inside the dust boot. Push it back. As long as everything moves freely, then that's the end of the story. If it doesn't, then we might have to work it a couple more times. So I'm just going to push the piston out by pushing the brake pedal. And on this one, I can actually see what I'm doing. We're not going to go too far. Just enough to be able to get a hold of the edge of the boot, which, yeah, we're just about there. We can go a little bit more. You do not want to go too far on this, or you risk blowing the piston right out of the caliper, and then you're going to have a bad time. That should be enough. So, just as per normal, blow off the boot. Okay, and then take your little syringe with some brake fluid in it. Again, this is a really small caliper, so it won't take a lot, and we don't want to flood the place. And try and have the piston side a little bit high, so the fluid doesn't just directly run right back out where you put it in. Like that. And then grab your with some C-clamp vice grips or a regular screw clamp, whatever you prefer. So yeah, for any, you gotta make sure, but for any caliper that doesn't have the, what do you call it, the screw mechanism that's inside of it, you can just use a clamp or a vice grip like this. This one seems to be very tight. I don't know if I'm not pushing on it straight or what. Well, that's just how it is. Might have reached the bottom. Yeah, I think so. Alright, so I'm going to push it back out again. Oh, you are a sucker. Why would that move? Ever? Oh my god. Jesus. Freak. Why can that not stay there? I think the flex hoses are healthy. Man, that is one of the worst things you can do to a flex hose. We pushed it out and pushed it back in the third time. Everything was a lot more smooth and free feeling. So caliper seems to be good to go. So I'm just going to do a quick off-camera sanding job on the pads, clean up the tabs that ride in the little clips there. Then we can finally put the pads back in here and put the caliper back on and call this corner done finally. Okay, so we now have rain to contend with as well. Hopefully it's not going to be too noisy here for us. But I've got the pads cleaned up pretty decently. They're not perfect, but with some driving time and some use, they will clean up nicely and mate to our freshly machined rotor. So all I'm going to do still yet here is just clean up the tabs that ride in those little clips in there, and then try and get a little bit of anti-seize in those clips without getting it all over the rotor, and we can put the pads in and the caliper back on. So this outer one's a bit more of a trick to get in. There we go. Also free as a bird. Okay, so all that's left then is put the caliper on, of course, which I think goes this way. Like that, stay. And then all I want to do, I've got lots of grease on the slide pins, I figure. I just want to put a little bit of anti-seize, if we can, up here on the threads and around the head. Once again, for our torquing purposes. Now, the book didn't appear to show a difference in torque for the top pin versus the bottom pin, even though they are very different, mostly in terms of size. So I guess we'll just go with it, but be aware that if one of them is not tightening up the way it should, we'll have to backtrack. So I had for the slide bolts 33 to 40 foot-pounds. So I think 33 is tons. Most slide bolts are like 20. So we're going to do 15 and then 33. This is the 14 for the bottom. And then we need the 17 for the top. And then we'll jump up to 33. Oops, too far. 32 and a half. And a half is 33. To the top here. To me, that's a lot for a slide bolt, but it is a real bolt with real size threads. Let's see what the little one's like here. It seems to be totally fine. So there we go. So 33, says 33 to 40. To me, 33 is tons. And again, I was able to undo those easily with just a small ratchet. So they definitely didn't have much on them. Not that that's any kind of indicator to go by, because somebody could have done it that didn't know what they were doing. So there, the caliper slides back and forth nice and freely. I will push the piston out till it makes contact and give it a good push. And then we'll make sure that it's still free. And then this corner is finally done, minus throwing the wheel back on. I'll push it out quite a ways here because that's pretty decent for a push. And we'll see, should still be able to turn the rotor fairly easily by hand. Oh my goodness, or not. Could just be the little coarse fuzzies on both the rotor and the pads from being machined and sanded, but at least it can be. Like, it's getting freer the more I do that, so I'd say that's probably pretty good. So we'll straighten the wheel here, throw the wheel back on, and this corner is finally done. I apologize for the bumpy ride on this one. Had a few different things going on. This is also new to me, so we're going through it, learning for the first time. So the other side front obviously will go more smoothly as long as we don't run into any issues. But yeah, so I think we should be good to throw the wheel back on here and move on to the other side finally. How's the back of the rim? Probably could use a little quick cleanup. They are aluminum, so you have to be very careful if you are going to use any kind of power on them. There we have that. Looks much, much better. So we're going to throw some anti-seize on the hub, as we do. And then and throw the wheel on, and then yeah, that's it for this corner. coating of anti-seize on the cone as always. And from my research as well, it looks like these are 80 foot-pounds normally, which to me seems perfect for the size and weight of this car. So that's what we're going to go with for wheel bolts, or wheel nuts rather. Come on. Start with our normal 50. See, holding this is probably going to be a challenge. We'll see what I can do. Alright, 50. I'll see if I can do 80. Otherwise, we'll have to wait till we can bring it down to the ground. All right, so there we have it. Keep an eye on that one. It doesn't seem as free as it should be, but everything inside is free, so there's no reason for the outside to not be free. So keep an eye on it, but I think once it goes down the road and scuffs up all the markings from machining and sanding on the pads and rotor, we should be good to go. So yeah, we're going to do basically all that again on the other front. Machine service done, and then we'll probably end this video there. I think we're probably already way over what we'd like to see for runtime. But that's the way it goes when you're doing something for the first time sometimes. Now that we've got all the appropriate tools and stuff together, it should be much easier and faster to do the rest of it. I hope the rears are very similar style design, so that it doesn't take too much more to get them done as well. So yeah, we're gonna quickly whip through the other side, and then we'll do the rears in another video. I did just realize, looking at this one, that I forgot to put the anti-rattle or anti-scrubbing clips back in on the other side of the car. So I'm just going to quickly whip the wheel back off and one bolt out of the caliper so I can swing it up, put those clips back in, and put it back in together. Just so if anyone is wondering in the comments, I did forget those, but I'm going to just throw them back in there right now, and then we'll carry on with this other side here. So in hindsight, that also makes a little more sense. Just as a note for when we were finished up on the other side, it had a little more drag than it should have had because I think those clips were missing. It seems to be more free now. So yeah, definitely got to make sure you remember all the little anti-rattle clips and everything. I'm not sure what happened with the second part of my time lapse there, but just about got it all back together here now. The pads sanded up really well, better than the other side even. Put them all back together, remembered the anti-rattle clips, calipers on, everything's all torqued up. Just gonna finish putting the wheel on now, and then we'll finally be done with the front end here. Well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Part 1 of this video. Thanks so much for watching and joining us. Next part will be getting the back brakes on this thing done. Same format as the fronts here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out Moto Solutions right here in Sunderland, Ontario. They're on Instagram and they have a website there as well. Check out the ProCut PFM X9 Rotor Matching System. As you can see, it does a fantastic job. We're going to use it again on the back, as well as at least one more full video that you guys will get to see before we have to send that back to the guys at Moto Solutions. So yeah, stay tuned for part 2 of this one. Don't know when it'll be coming out, probably before the last one, but we're busy. So as soon as we can get it out, but we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.